There are days in politics that don't feel important when they're happening. Then you look back years later and realize that was the day everything changed.
Hatutaki pesa ya hao mabilionea wakae na pesa yao. Mimi nataka nikuwe na deni ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Hiyo shilingi 10 yako ambayo umetupa kwa baby, wakati naingia hata nikipunguza mafuta na shilingi 10, si nitakuwa nimekurudishia pesa yako.
Think about it. Very few people knew they were watching history when Barack Obama delivered his speech at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. At the time, he was a relatively new US senator. Many years later, people looked back on that speech as the moment his national political rise truly began. Kenya has had moments like that too. Moments that looked ordinary until history gave them a different meaning. I'm not saying that's what happened today in Bungoma. Nobody can honestly know that. But I am saying this. If Edwin Sifuna ever becomes president of Kenya, people may look back at today and say, that was the day we first saw it.
Hata America, Barack Obama alikuwa na miaka 44 kama Edwin akawa president.
What happened in Bungoma wasn't just another political rally. At least, I don't think it was. I think we may have witnessed something much bigger.
Watu wa Bungoma niulize, munataka Sifuna apewe kiti gani? Munataka apewe kiti gani? Munataka apewe kiti gani?
The beginning of a political movement to take over State House.
Nataka mseme kwa sauti Kasonga asikie. Munataka apewe kiti gani?
Then William Ruto has a problem. And the problem is something far more dangerous. Momentum. If you love this kind of content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now let's get to the video.
Badis wa Sifuna tumearrive Bungoma na hii itakuwa mwecheche.
Anasema sisi ni nani? Sifuna! Sisi ni nani? Sifuna!
Wamama ni Sifuna, vijana ni Sifuna, watu ya pikipiki ni Sifuna, hata chokora ni Sifuna. We are very happy to be here to witness the making of the Sifuna presidency.
How does someone become president? Most people imagine the same sequence. First, you declare your interest. Then you launch your campaign. You print posters. You raise money. You hire strategists. You travel the country asking people to vote for you. That's the normal script. But every once in a while, politics tears that script apart. Every once in a while, the crowd starts writing the campaign before the politician does.
Hii storm inakuja na Sifuna. Hii storm itashinda ile ya 2002.
Kama kuna wakati Mulio anaweza kuwa president kwa haraka sana ni 2027.
Mazee Sifuna tunakutaka kama president. Mambo ya deputy tumekataa kabisa. Wangapi wana agree na mimi?
And demand is one of the most powerful forces in politics. Because once people start believing in an idea, they begin spreading it for free.
Hiyo kama mmeona kuwa kuna tofauti kubwa sana kati ya rais wenu na rais wetu. Kwa sababu rais wenu anatuambia venye atarudi tu sijui nini, story mingi na maahadi mingi zenye haizifanya, zenye alisema hakufanya. Lakini rais wetu hata hajatupatia ahadi yoyote, hajatuambia atakusimama kiti yoyote, hajatuambia hata kama atakuwa rais. Lakini sisi tunataka awe rais. Yaani sisi tunamtaka. Tumeshamchagua na hata kura haijafika.
They don't wait for campaign offices. They don't wait for television adverts. They don't wait for permission. They become the campaign.
Barack Obama alitoka kuwa senator akakuwa president. Barack Obama hakuwa na pesa, watu hawakuwa wanamjua sana, but he became the president of the United States of America. The first black president in US. He made history. The same thing can happen to Sifuna.
That's the question that stayed with me after watching what unfolded in Bungoma.
Mimi nataka nikuwe na deni ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Hiyo shilingi 10 yako ambayo umetupa kwa baby, wakati naingia hata nikipunguza mafuta na shilingi 10, si nitakuwa nimekurudishia pesa yako.
The question is whether a huge number of Kenyans is beginning to imagine him as one.
Huyu bwana ndio atamtoa President Ruto kwa kiti 2027.
Now, before we get carried away, let's slow down. Because politics has a way of punishing overconfidence. One huge rally does not automatically make someone president. Neither does one trending weekend decide a general election. Kenya has seen politicians fill stadiums.
Asante.
Only to struggle at the ballot box.
In a social media post on his Twitter handle, Raila directed readers to a link titled KenyaElectionResults.com, which he says leaves no doubt that his Azimio coalition won the presidential election last year.
Crowds matter, but votes matter more.
Watu wanakuja umati mkubwa kwa mkutano. Viongozi wanasimama wanasema Kasongo aende, inueni mkono tuone wangapi wanaenda, wanasema aende, wangapi wanasema aende, watu wanainua mikono wote. Lakini sisikii hata mmoja anauliza ni wangapi kati yenu ambao mko na kadi ya kupiga kura, inueni mikono, inueni mikono, inueni mikono. Then how are you assured that that massive crowd is going to translate into a vote for you?
So if anyone tells you today's rally alone proves who will win in 2027, they're getting ahead of the evidence.
You have to make sure that that massive crowd translates into a vote.
So let's ask a better question. Why did this rally feel different? Because that's where the real story begins.
Na wewe ukitaka kuwa president katika Kenya hii, mimi ndio naweza kusaidia wewe kuraise hata 1 billion kwa dakika moja.
Walisema hatuna pesa. Nataka niwaonyeshe pesa ile tumeokota leo. Nipatie hiyo pesa iko hapo tatu. Pesa ya wananchi. Pesa ya wananchi. Haya. Tulianza pale Kiminini. Hii mfuko ni pesa imejaa. Hii ni pesa. Ngoja. Unaona hii pesa? Hii ni ya soko ya Kiminini.
For years, Western Kenya has been viewed through a very specific political lens. The common assumption has been that if you wanted serious influence in the region, you worked through established leaders like Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula.
Mabibi wawili kutoka huko kwetu. Bibi moja mkubwa anaitwa Musalia Mudavadi na waduye wakampa Moses Wetangula free. Moses Wetangula free.
Whether that assumption has always been completely accurate is debatable. But the perception mattered. It shaped coalitions. It shaped cabinet negotiations. It shaped presidential strategy.
Wacha nichukue nafasi hii kabla huyu kiongozi hajaketi chini. Nimshukuru huyu muungwana Musalia Mudavadi.
That is why today's political atmosphere is so fascinating.
Tuna wazee wengine watatu ambao wanatusumbua hapa. Wakati wamesikia Sifuna nyota yake inapanda, hao ndio wa kwanza, badala ya kusaidia Sifuna, hao ndio wa kwanza wanaanza kusema Sifuna ni maskini.
Increasingly, you hear people saying what many people have for years feared saying.
Miezi 3 ndugu zangu, na tulikuwa tunaangalia kitu kubwa mbele. Jameni. Hiyo ndio unasimama unasema wewe ndio ulikuwa wa kwanza. Hiyo barabara kama ni ndio wanasema barabara, hiyo hatuendi sisi.
This is where Edwin Sifuna enters the story. Not necessarily as the answer, but as the symbol. Listen carefully to what has been happening over recent weeks. At rallies, in interviews, and across political discussions, more voices have been encouraging him to think beyond his current role.
Na dawa ya Ruto ni Natembea. Because Natembea has understood that he must give Edwin Sifuna cover.
Wacha tumkaribishe Rais wa 6 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Some speakers have openly urged him to consider the presidency. Others have framed him as representing a new generation of leadership.
So kuna tofauti kubwa sana na muheshimu sana raia wenye wanataka. Na mkai mkijua sisi ndio Sifuna 2027. Hiyo ofisi tutaingia.
That doesn't mean the whole country agrees. It doesn't even mean the whole of Western Kenya agrees. But it tells us something important. The political conversation around Sifuna is changing. People are no longer talking only about what he does today. They're talking about what he could become tomorrow. And that shift is politically significant. Because every major political rise begins with imagination. Before people vote for you, they have to picture you in that office.
Hey, people of Bungoma. Kai. Bungoma imekuwa ingine mwecheche.
Amukutuon, sindio? Amukutuon.
We were not aware.
Yani mpaka tuliona watoto wa 4 months na 6 months.
Imagine, baddies, majenzi. Wazai walikuwa kuja paka wanatembea na mkwaju.
Here's the part that really caught my attention. Sifuna hasn't yet traveled the entire country. He hasn't held rallies in every county. He hasn't officially launched a presidential campaign. Yet the discussion around his political future keeps growing.
You don't walk in a room because you have money. Money is not what gives you confidence. So unaona nini? As regards to Edwin Sifuna, we don't care whether he's loaded or poor from the village. Atujali, Edwin kama anahitaji pesa tutamsupport, we will contribute. And by the way, there's a lot of us out here. There are many Sifunas, not just in Kenya, all around the world, in the United States of America, in Australia, in Europe, all over the world.
Again, that is not proof that he will become president, but it is evidence that his political profile is expanding. And that's exactly the kind of development every serious political strategist watches closely, including, one would assume, those around President William Ruto. Because strategy is never about reacting only after something has happened. It's about noticing change while it's still taking shape.
Our own brother, Senator Sifuna, was at 13%, although he has not declared that he's running for president. So he's doing very well. In fact, in the next 6 months, he will be number 2. But the problem in politics, there is no number 2, my brother Sifuna. I want to appeal to him to relax now, remain as the senator of Nairobi. Then 2032, he can run for president. I can cede my presidential ambitions and become your running mate in 2032.
Imagine you're sitting in State House tonight. You're reviewing the day's events. You don't ask yourself whether one rally has defeated you. That would be absurd. Instead, you ask different questions. Is this an isolated event? Or the beginning of a trend? Is this enthusiasm temporary? Or is it spreading? Does it remain in one region? Or does it begin crossing regional and political boundaries? Those are the questions campaigns obsess over.
Wamesema tukitoka Homa Bay tuende Meru. Nataka niwaulize watu wa Kimilili, kuna mahali hamtaki tuende? Tuombe kura kila mahali, tuende mpaka Meru. Mimi sitawaangusha, lakini na nyinyi msiniangushe, si ndio?
Elections are rarely lost in one dramatic moment. They are usually lost by ignoring small changes until those changes become impossible to reverse. And perhaps that's the biggest lesson from Bungoma. Not that Kenya has chosen its next president. Far from it. It's that politics has entered a new phase. A phase where old assumptions are being challenged, where younger leaders are commanding more attention, where regional politics appears more fluid than many expected. Whether Edwin Sifuna ultimately becomes the face of that change, or whether someone else does, is still an open question. But after Bungoma, I don't think anyone can honestly dismiss the conversation anymore, because history doesn't always announce itself with certainty. Sometimes it begins with a question, and today's question is a powerful one. Did we just witness the birth of Sifuna's presidential journey? It's a question that every Kenyan and every serious politician will be watching closely, and perhaps no one will be watching more carefully than William Ruto. Subscribe.